Hello, my name is Samanize and welcome to another Samanize Guide video. Today we're going to be going over all the different bosses in Icecrown Citadel, and I'm going to be giving you all the tips and tricks I learned while practicing these bosses on the Icecrown Citadel public test realm recently. Each of these boss kills is going to take longer than it actually takes me to explain the tips and tricks relevant to the boss kill, so once I'm done explaining the tips and tricks, I'll just let the boss kill play out, and if you want to skip ahead to the next boss, there'll be timestamps in the video description, so you can just get on with it if you want to. These are going to be rogue-specific boss tips and tricks. I'm not going to go over every basic strategy element or ability of the bosses. Just going to talk about the ways rogues can approach them and special things rogues can do on these fights. So let's get started with the first boss, Lord Marrowgar. For Lord Marrowgar, you should always help deal damage to the bone spikes when they happen. When the timer for bone spikes is almost up, you can pool a little bit of energy, so you'll have energy available to burst them down quickly. As combat, you can use Fan of Knives on the boss plus multiple bone spikes in melee range. As Assassination, you'll want to change target and probably do one Mutilate into one Envenom on a bone spike. If they die quickly, as they should, you might not have time for two Mutilates into an Envenom like you normally would. When Lord Marrowgar does Bone Storm, you can follow him around and deal damage without too much trouble. The Bone Storm deals damage based on proximity. The closer you are, the more damage you take. So try to stay at maximum range as Lord Marrowgar is moving around the room. Feint can also help reduce the damage further since it's counted as AoE damage, and Evasion can also help you simply dodge the Bone Storm damage, so that's good too as another defensive. Using Glyph of Feint is a good idea if you plan to chase the boss around and cast Feint a lot. Don't use Killing Spree during Bone Storm, since it puts you directly in the center of Marrowgar, and the Bone Storm damage is proximity based, so that's a lot of damage. You might end up dying. Save your Killing Spree for after Bone Storm is over to be safe. If you have to move through some of the Cold Flame blue fire on the ground, you can sprint or nitro boost to move through it faster, take fewer ticks of damage. You can also preemptively Cloak of Shadows to resist the damage ticks. That's all for Lord Marrowgar, so if you want to see the rest of the fight, keep watching. Otherwise, if you want to skip ahead to Lady Deathwhisper, there'll be a timestamp in the video description. You can jump ahead to the next segment. Paint up. There, he's all the way across the room, kind of difficult to deal with. Expose armor back on. All the way across the room again. Oh my god. Where's this Mjolnir runestone? There we go. Get that bone spike. Back on boss. Oh, second adrenaline rush is up, but the boss is dead already. There we go. Okay, keep it moving. Lady Deathwhisper is two phases. The first phase has a bunch of ads spawning, and that's the main thing you're going to be damaging. Whenever there's ads around, you want to prioritize killing the ads. And you can use Tricks of the Trade, which can be very helpful for helping tanks pick up all the different ads that are spawning in Phase 1. Phase 1 has plenty of opportunities for multi-target damage with Fan of Knives as combat. However, usually there will not be enough ads in the same place for Assassination to be using Fan of Knives, so Assassination will just stick to their single target rotation. Be sure to stop using Fan of Knives when mind control is about to happen. It's very easy to accidentally kill your teammates if people are just constantly blasting AoEs when mind control goes out. If you're doing single target damage, focus on the caster mobs and stay away from the melee mobs. The melee enemies have a nasty cleave attack that can get you killed. Also, be sure to move away from any mob casting Dark Martyrdom. It's about to explode, and it will kill you if you're near when that cast completes. In Phase 2, you can use Tricks of the Trade to help the tanks transfer threat. Eventually, the current tank will have enough stacks of the tank debuff that they cannot generate threat anymore. It's important that the second tank gets to the top of the threat meter before another DPS overtakes the current tank. When you're progressing on this boss, one of the main ways people will die is from ghost explosions in Phase 2. I like using Glyph of Feint and pressing Feint whenever I see the ghost spawn. If someone fails a way to move from the ghost, as they often do, Faint will reduce the damage you take from the explosion and hopefully save your life. That's all for Lady Deathwhisper. The heroic mode of this encounter is definitely one of the more difficult ones in Icecrown Citadel, so if you're not sure about your guild's performance, this might be one you skip week 1 and week 2 and maybe work on this one later, as it is more difficult.
And show these intruders a taste of the Master's power. You are weak, powerless to resist my will.
I could put Gouge on my bar too. Cats are dead.
Enough! I see I must take matters into my own hands.
Interrupt. Interrupt.
Late kick.
Interrupt.
Keep pressing kick and bad. Just took a big explosion. Oh, it was another ghost explosion.
Interrupt.
I'm gonna just go on these ads. Last time I was on boss almost the whole time. Maybe it's fine to just be on ads.
Powerless to resist my will.
Interrupt. Interrupt. Watch your feet. Interrupt. Interrupt. Interrupt.
That ghost, don't explode. Nice, it didn't explode. I didn't need to be that far away, but I get scared. I mean, the thing that is always killing us is the ghost. So, like,
Interrupt.
You are weak.
all I really care about is not popping the ghosts. When the ghosts are up, that's what I'm worried about. It's ghost time. Run away. Let's target boss again.
Interrupt. Interrupt. Interrupt.
Ghost up, hit faint.
Interrupt. Interrupt. Interrupt.
You are weak, powerless to resist my will. Do you yet grasp the futility of your actions?
With a tank death.
Interrupt. 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 Interrupt.
You are weak, powerless to resist my will. Darkness
Interrupt.
eternal.
Might have it this time. It's looking good.
Interrupt.
Melee ghost, you see it's on the right of me. Moving away, moving away, moving away.
Interrupt. 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 Interrupt.
It's over. We got it. We got it. Nice.
Oh,
There's some good progression on that boss. After Lady Deathwhisper is the Gunship battle, and as much as people like to think of this fight as a meme, there's actually some really interesting tech and tricks you can do to do a lot more damage and make it go a lot faster. And the first is that the Goblin Rocket Pack you get that allows you to jump from ship to ship actually does AoE damage around you when you land from one of those jumps. You can create a macro with just this line on screen now and spam it while damaging enemies, and will do great AoE damage around you. This will just automatically cast the rocket pack at your current location, so it won't move you around or jump you or mess you up when you don't want to. You can also add this line to every attack macro you have, like Mutilate, Sinister Strike, Envenom, and etc. It's a pretty massive amount of damage, On my first kill using this strategy and putting this macro on, Goblin Rocket Pack accounted for 26% of my overall damage output. That's a lot of damage. Now, if you pay attention to the timers, you can jump over to the other ship a little bit before the Blizzard Mage becomes active. That way you can be there ready to deal damage the moment it becomes active, which is really good. The main thing you want to do is kill that Blizzard Mage as fast as possible. And the other thing you can do to mess up the Blizzard Mage, which is really cool, is rogues can use Distract on the Blizzard Mage before it starts casting Blizzard. It will stand still for 10 seconds and be attackable. With high DPS, or with 2 rogues and 2 distracts, your raid should kill it literally before it even casts Blizzard. This way the people in the guns on your ship will never get booted out of their guns. They will never have to stop dealing damage to the enemy ship if you can handle the Blizzard Mage and kill it before it even starts casting Blizzard through use of Distract. Now, make sure the rogues and the other melees jump over to the other ship about 10 seconds before the timers say Blizzard is going to begin, because you got to be in position, ready to hit that Distract, and ready to start DPSing the Mage before it even starts casting. At player, not just use Goblin Rocket Pack. Alright, whatever. Gunship's over. There's not a very good demonstration of the tech, because I was just confused with my macro being not the way it was supposed to be. But yeah, that's the two things. Use Distract on the Mage and, you know, she's basically just stunned for 10 seconds and doesn't cast the freeze. So we did that entire fight without getting a freeze happening ever. Oh shit, that's my biz. After Gunship battle is Deathbringer Saurfang, and I'd say this is a medium difficulty fight on heroic difficulty. There are many ways to handle the Blood Beast adds on this boss. The main thing is you do not want the Blood Beast to actually hit any players at all, since that grants Deathbringer Saurfang blood power. Some raids will have melee swap to them, others will have range DPS only take care of them. However, you, as a rogue, can use Tricks of the Trade on a range DPS character when the Blood Beast spawn, and swap target to damage one of them. The beast will move towards the range DPS since Tricks is transferring your threat to them, and they may have to move away, but this ensures the Blood Beast will not attack anyone in melee and allow you to DPS it safely. Be sure to swap back to Deathbringer Saurfang in 6 to 8 seconds so you can refresh your Deadly Poison stack without it dropping. If you're afflicted with Mark of the Champion, you can use Feint to reduce the damage you take. Keeping the marked players alive is a big difficulty on this fight, so I'd say it's a pretty good idea to spend 20 energy on Feint every 10 seconds to ease that burden on your healers if you get chosen by Mark of the Fallen Champion. If you cast Vanish while Saurfang is casting Mark of the Fallen Champion on you, he'll just cast it again a few seconds later on another randomly selected raid member. I don't recommend doing this because Rogue is one of the best targets to get Mark of the Fallen Champion due to being able to negate so much of the damage through spamming Feint. A healing debuff should be used on this boss. He generally heals enough from his Rune of Blood ability that makes applying some form of healing debuff definitely a good idea. Whether that's the Rogue's Wound Poison or a Hunter's Aim Shot is up for your raid to decide. Blade Flurry secondary target damage will deal drastically reduced damage to the Blood Beast. It is not worth saving this cooldown for Blood Beast since it does so little damage. Fan of Knives also deals substantially reduced damage to Blood Beasts. You should not be using Fan of Knives for the purposes of damage to Blood Beasts. Okay. How many marks do we have out? 1, 2, 3. Not bad. Blood Beast. Another 5. Okay. Mark 4 is out. Here comes the Enrage. That's a kill! After Saurfang, Icecrown Citadel opens up into multiple different wings, and let's go talk about the bosses in the Plague Wing first. Starting with Festergut is a fairly straightforward fight. Melee should all stack on 1 foot at a time, and alternate between Festergut's left and right foot every time Putricide casts Malleable Goo. If all melee stand on 1 foot and no one stands on the other foot, then the other foot is always a safe spot. So you can move without having to worry about where the Malleable Goo is cast. You just move and you know the other foot's going to be safe. You don't have to think too hard about it. If you make a mistake and you do get a Malleable Goo debuff, you can use Cloak of Shadows to remove it, and you absolutely should. There's not too much else to use Cloak of Shadows for here. If you make a mistake and you miss one of the stacks of the Inoculated debuff, you can use Feint when Pungent Blight is cast. Only 2 stacks of Inoculated plus an active Feint will keep you alive through Pungent Blight. You can also use a carefully timed Vanish to be immune to Pungent Blight damage, but I would not recommend relying on that. That's a pretty careful thing to time properly. What the? Left. Got the Spore. Right. Left. Right. Left. Right.
AOE incoming.
Oh shit, here it is. The Pungent Blight. No big deal. Left. Boss is not too hard. I think we'll take care of it this time. Right? Did not get the 5-point rupture I wanted. Wait, did I miss that spore? Does everyone else have a spore right now? Alright, we'll just have to vanish the Pungent Blight. Right? Yeah, they have 1 stack inoculated. Left. We'll be fine. Okay. Left. If we get 2 stacks inoculated plus a feint, we'll be fine. Right? Left. Get this debuff. There we go. Right? Left.
AOE incoming.
Yeah, he's dead. After Festergut is Rotface, and this one is even simpler than Festergut. Really, you're going to be DPSing the boss, and anytime he casts Slime Spray, you're going to make sure you rotate so you're behind the boss so you're not taking that frontal cone damage. If you do get the disease debuff on this boss, you're going to want to run out of melee range over to wherever the big ooze or other small ooze is to allow the ooze that starts following you to merge with the big ooze or the other small ooze, ideally with the big ooze. Now, when the big ooze gets too big, it'll cast Unstable Explosion, and you can use a tactic similar to Festergut to avoid the damage from this. Melee can stack on one foot just like Festergut and swap foot whenever the big ooze finishes casting an Unstable Explosion. The locations where the ooze explosion will land and deal damage to players are locked in when the cast completes, and then there will be a small delay before the damage actually happens as the projectiles move through the air. This gives you time to move away to the opposite foot where there shouldn't be any ooze explosions if no one was standing there. Because we had kind of unlucky timing on that.
The poison slime pipes.
I think I made an angry poo-poo. It's gonna play.
Watch your step.
The poison slime pipes. Good news, everyone. I fixed the poison slime pipes.
Watch your step.
Okay, looking good.
Good news, everyone. I fixed the poison slime.
Uh-oh, there's a lot of little oozes up. We don't want a situation where we have two big oozes at once. If you really F up the oozes, that can happen. And it ain't good.
Good news, everyone. I fixed the poison slime pipes.
No, take your... Not yet. Go back. Gotta get your little ooze to touch the big ooze. We have two big oozes. That's not good.
Run away.
Everyone, I fixed the poison slime.
Watch your step. Move to tank. Run away.
Alright, see, I'm merging my ooze in with the big ooze. We might still kill it, even though we had terrible ooze handling. This boss is pretty easy. Rib spreader? That's definitely a need roll for me. The final boss of the Plague Wing is one of the most difficult encounters in here in Heroic mode. Professor Putricide Heroic is definitely a difficult one, and one you should put off until you're a couple weeks in if you're not super confident in your guild's ability. If you're selected by a green ooze on this encounter, You can vanish right before the ooze reaches you. This will cause the ooze to immediately reselect its target, and it will not explode on you. It will not knock the melees back. It's a very good thing to do if you have a vanish available. If you're chasing around a green ooze, you can use Feint right before it reaches its target because Feint will reduce the damage from the green ooze explosion. Saving movement abilities like Nitro Boost and Sprint is good for chasing the oozes and getting onto them quickly. One of the best things you can do is help kill the oozes quickly. Fast dying oozes has a really big impact on making the fight easier. Now, this isn't a rogue specific tip, but it's a pretty important one, so I decided to include it. Paladins with Divine Shield and mages with Ice Block can use those abilities when they're targeted by the green ooze. As long as they stay in the shield or block, the ooze will not reselect target and will not explode. It'll just stand still and wait. This is super good, and you can usually kill it before the shield or block fades, so make sure your paladins and your mages are saving their divine shields and their ice blocks for the chance of them getting targeted by a green ooze. The boss can be positioned on top of the spawn point for the first green ooze. You can save your Blade Flurry and or Killing Spree or Adrenaline Rush cooldowns for the green ooze spawn and get a solid couple of seconds of multi-target damage on the boss and the ooze at the same time. Melee should stack on the green ooze before it even selects its first target. If it happens to be someone in melee range, great, there's already a bunch of melees there. If it happens to be someone at range, even better, you've just got a whole bunch of free damage on the green ooze. Killing Spree can be used right before a green ooze explosion, and you'll stay on the ooze instead of being knocked away, which is quite good, allowing you to spend more uptime on the ooze. It is very good to have a clear UI element to indicate when choking gas will be cast so you can avoid it. I used Deadly Boss mods, and I went into the options and gave it a unique custom sound effect so I would always recognize when it was going to happen. The choking gas debuff drastically reduces your chance to hit and is a huge detriment to your damage output. If you are unlucky and you get a choking gas, you make a mistake, you can use Cloak of Shadows to remove it, but that's going to be a 90-second cooldown. You better not get it again for the next 90 seconds or you're going to be in trouble. Now, a lot of people ask me about the Tear Gas Stun ability of Professor Putricide. This is a normal mode only ability that Professor Putricide does during phase transitions. In Heroic mode, he does not do a Tear Gas Stun, and instead will summon both a green and a red ooze at the same time during the transition. I did not do any progression on normal mode. I imagine you could vanish this stun if you timed it properly, but I didn't get a chance to practice that.
3, 2.
We had Cloak of Shadows. We were fine. There we go. Okay, back to boss. A little more damage over here. Expose armor back up. 2-point slice. Making a red ooze now. An adrenaline rush. Which way is he even facing?
Watch your step.
4, 3,
Target
2,
you.
1.
Beware.
On the ooze. The target swap. We had to get away there. I burned the sprint.
Watch your step.
It's at 38. Okay. Stop on boss.
Help sir.
Gotta kill this green ooze.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Before the boss transitions. Oh, we got pushed into the choking gas bomb, but somehow it didn't activate on us? Okay. Here's a transition. This is good. Waiting for the red ooze to actually choose a target. Then we'll switch to it.
Help sir.
On Supra, he's not moving. He's not. Oh, okay, now he's moving. Ooh, we can help soak this. Here's a feint. Never mind, it didn't explode.
Help so.
Excuse me.
Watch your step.
4,
Help
3,
so.
Good.
2, 1.
Oh, we got the choking gas bomb. Okay, I had to cloak that. I got one, you know, I get one mulligan on those.
Watch your step.
Well, one mulligan every 90 seconds. Still pretty good. This is looking like a good attempt. Everyone's alive right now. This is very possibly a kill.
4,
We keep it together here.
2,
Watch your step.
1.
So 1 point expose into a 2 point slice. Whoa, 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 whoa. A little extra damage. We can use feints during this phase, also, to reduce our damage taken. Which I think is good as the raid damage ramps up. I think it's better to do that than to try to spend your energy on damage.
4, 3, 2.
This is it.
One.
This is it. This is a kill.
Watch
Nope,
your
we're
step.
dead. We're dead. We're dead. Please don't heal boss. Please don't heal the boss. Oh, that's it. That's a kill. That's a kill, you guys. Literally, that's a kill. These are literally the only 4 people who couldn't. After the Plague Wing, let's talk next about the Dragon Wing, which consists of 2 bosses, Valithria Dreamwalker and Sindragosa. Valithria is a pretty straightforward fight for a rogue. There's not a lot going on. This is really a healer fight, as the healers are supposed to heal the boss up to full and do some special mechanics to boost up their healing output. You don't really have to worry too much about that as a rogue. What you want to be doing is clearing out the ad waves that spawn and continually attack the raid. You should use Tricks of the Trade to help the tanks pick up the ads. The suppressor ads will never attack you, so you don't need to use Tricks of the Trade to be safe to attack them. You're talking about the blighted zombies, the abominations, and the blazing skeletons. When you're attacking a blighted zombie, you should move away from them before they die, because they do an on-death explosion. Let ranged DPS finish them off, so you can reduce your damage taken, move on to some other target. And that's pretty much it. You're just killing ads the whole time. There isn't too much to it for a rogue. Hopefully you loot your Lungbreaker dagger and are happy. And then you move on to Sindragosa. Blazing skeleton, because they're going to cast this ability, Lay Waste, which does huge raid-wide damage. There we go. I had my Tricks of the Trade put to the wrong tank.
Portal into the dream. Your salvation lies within, hero.
Suppressors are usually your second priority. If there's no blazing zombie, suppressor is the next. Because what these guys do is they put a debuff on the boss that reduces their healing received. They just go and they channel that. Killing spree right here.
AOE incoming.
Good. Did not get far enough away from that to avoid the debuff there.
Dream. Your salvation lies within, heroes.
Got the expose up. Ooh, suppressor's coming through. Okay. That's higher prio. Good AoE opportunity on those suppressors. Evasion, so we're safe from these rotworms attacking us. Okay. Looking for the next ad spawn. Probably just pre-send a Tricks of the Trade on the tank, so we don't have to think about that later. We're looking, it's either going to spawn left or right here. Hello? Any mobs? There we go. And look like we're getting a wave of suppressors also. I'm gonna go over this side. Whoa, what did I take aggro from? Little expose armor on that guy.
AOE incoming.
Delete that. Fan of knives here. Fan of knives there. Okay. Where's uh-oh. Tank's out of range for tricks. Okay. There we go. Get away from that guy. Nice, we actually avoided it. Alright, Lich is over here. Hit a little expose. Hit a little slice. Blade flurry as these guys come by. Fan of knives. Fan of knives. More suppressors over here with a blistering zombie. That's a threefer on that slice, or on that fan of knives.
Your salvation lies within, heroes.
AOE incoming.
Gonna go over here.
Strength is returning. Press on, heroes.
To expose up on that guy. Slice and dice activation. Looking for the next mob. Tricks of the trade. Okay, here it is. That's a lot of suppressors over here. Holy shit. And we have to be on the blazing skeleton. This is everything coming together at once.
AOE incoming.
There we go. Rotworms over here. Can do big AoE on them. Nice. Boss is getting close to full health. It's almost over. I do not have Tricks of the Trade available, so I'm hitting a little evasion. Make sure I don't rip threat and die. Mostly about making sure I don't rip, making sure I don't die. That's what the evasion's for.
Portal into the dream. Your salvation lies within, heroes. I am renewed.
There we go. It's over.
Grant me the favor to lay these foul creatures to rest.
Nice. Alright, we go through. Let me make sure this macro is working again. Let me delete that. Sindragosa is not a popular boss. Pretty much everyone hates this boss because pretty much every mechanic screws over every player and makes it so you can't deal damage, you can't cast your spells, you can't be in line of sight of the boss, all these things. But as awful as it is, it drops some good loot and we gotta kill it, so we gotta know how to kill it effectively. First of all, Cloak of Shadows can remove your stacks of Chilled to the Bone to allow you to continue attacking the boss a little longer. It's good to use this during your other cooldowns so you don't have to stop attacking while you have Blade Flurry or Adrenaline Rush available. You're going to have to find out what amount of Chilled to the Bone stacks your healers can tolerate. Just because you can go higher in stacks, take more damage, and require more healing does not mean you should. You might be being too much of a burden to your raid by doing that. The application of Chilled to the Bone has some random chance to it. Oftentimes, if I'm attacking and it just so happens that my debuff duration has gone down to 3 or so seconds, I'll just intentionally stop attacking regardless of my number of stacks, let it fall off, and then resume. This is nice because it's only about 3 seconds of downtime compared to stacking up to whatever my limit is, 5 or 6 stacks, and then stopping and waiting the full 6 or 7 seconds to let the full stack fall off that way. Using Feint Glyph and spamming Feint will reduce a substantial amount of damage from the Frost Aura in Phase 3, and I definitely recommend doing this, especially for progression kills where Phase 3 is the most difficult part of the fight. But my Warlock's dead. Fuck. Too late to tricks them now. We're not playing that game again. Okay, now I can trick them. They're in range.
Stack high. Stack high. Stack high.
6. Okay.
Stack high. Stack high. Run out.
Feel the cold hand of death upon your heart! Suffer, mortals, as your pathetic magic betrays you!
Okay.
Stack high.
Your incursion
There we go. Great content on YouTube. Stopped playing before BC and just came back. Your videos are being a great help. Wonderful. Glad you think so. I am doing Heroic Sindragosa right now. And believe it or not, some of these mechanics are ones I have to spend some brain power thinking about. I'm trying to focus. But this part is a part where I get to chill for a little bit. We're just literally not going to do damage. We're just looking for this little circle. Pushing, you know, making sure the circles, but the tomb is between us and the circle. So we don't get exploded. Just like Saffron in Phase 1. Too far. Oh, shit. I backed out. I didn't realize I backed out. Okay. Hang on. We're fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Stack high. Stack high.
Oh. Got a natural drop there.
Run out. Stack high.
Cold hand of death upon your heart! Suffer, mortals, as your pathetic magic betrays you!
Stack high.
Your
Stack
incursion
high.
ends here!
Go.
None shall survive!
Trying to get a lot of tricks of the trade onto the Warlocks. Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna be super chill here. Is that... Oh, that's the end. Okay, we're pumping, we're pushing it. Trying to go for Phase 3 here.
Stack high.
Pathetic magic betrays
Stack high.
Stopping. Gonna try to have the Cloak of Shadows up for when we do, when we have Heroism, rather than burning it right there.
Stack high. Stack high.
Suffer, mortals, as your pathetic magic betrays
Okay,
you!
we're good.
Can
Run
you
out.
feel the cold
Okay.
hand of death upon your heart?
And stacks dropped.
Stack high.
Suffer, mortals, as your pathetic magic betrays you! Can
Run
you
out.
feel the cold hand of death upon your heart? Perish!
Okay. Kill boss is called. There we go. No problem. After the Dragon Wing comes the final wing before we go to the Lich King, and that's the Blood Wing, consisting of Blood Prince Council and Blood Queen Lanathel. Now, unlike the other wings, the first boss in this wing, I would say, is certainly the more difficult one. Blood Prince Council on Heroic Mode is quite a challenging boss with a lot of different mechanics going on at once, so let's figure out what ways rogues can handle these mechanics better. First of all, Feint can be used to reduce the damage from the Empowered Shock Vortex. You should definitely be casting Feint right before you run away to spread out for an Empowered Shock Vortex. You can also use Vanish to negate the knockback and stun portions of Empowered Shock Vortex. You should probably do that whenever Vanish is available. I attempted this a few times and was not successful, but other people say they've been able to time Vanish appropriately to negate the knockback. Next, Cloak of Shadows should be used to remove the Shadow Prison movement debuff and saved only for times when you would otherwise have to stand still out of melee range waiting for it to fall off. If you can make it back into melee range without dying to Shadow Prison, you should not use Cloak. Don't use Blade Flurry or Killing Spree when you're attacking Keleseth, because you do not want to deal damage to any of the Dark Nucleus mobs that are around him. It's important that only the person tanking Keleseth is dealing damage to the Dark Nucleus mobs. And in that same vein, if you have sappers or grenades bound into any of your normal attack buttons, you may want to disable that for this fight. Again, you don't want to deal any damage to the Dark Nucleus mobs. It can mess up the tanking of Keleseth. Using Sprint or Nitro Boost to move will reduce the amount of damage you take from Shadow Prison. The debuff application is based on time spent moving, not based on distance traveled. So if you can cover the same distance in less time with a Sprint or Nitro Boost, that's fewer applications of the debuff and less damage taken. If you notice the bosses are about to change which one has health and which one you're supposed to be attacking, which you should have a timer for, that's a bad time to refresh a damage over time like Rupture. The damage ticks from Rupture on one of the bosses that only has 1 health will not count towards damage to the boss that does have health.
My next will was merely a setback. With the power of the orb, Valanar will have
Soaking
his
the
vengeance.
orb. So I was moving a little bit. There we go.
Worm fool.
Lots of stacks. I'm gonna...
Delight in the pain.
This is a safe Blade Flurry. Oof. That was not the right position to go to. What am I doing here? I don't have boot. I do have sprint. I'm gonna move.
Blood will flow. Tremble before Taldaram.
Watch your step.
For the power of the orb flows through me.
Never mind. I thought a shock vortex. I immediately moved out. It was not empowered.
Delight in the pain. My cup runneth over. Blood will flow. Such wondrous power.
Where are we going?
Fallen orb has made me invincible.
Probably get this if nothing goes catastrophically wrong.
Delight in the pain. My cup runneth over. My queen.
That's a kill. That's a kill. Valinar's other signet ring. Nope, that's intellect gear. Crypt, keepers, bracers. I believe this is intellect gear also. Wow, gross. Shadowfrost shard, no thank you. And Land Soul's horned. Oh my god, dude, no rogue gear. 3 items and none of it's rogue gear? Crazy, dude. The last boss of the Bloodwing is Blood Queen Lanathel, and I like this one because it's one of the couple of bosses that has a mechanic that makes you deal more damage, and that's the Vampirism debuff, which is super fun. We'll get to that in a moment. First of all, you can use Cloak of Shadows whenever you get the Purple Fire debuff. Removing the debuff with Cloak immediately means you won't have to run out of melee range and stop attacking to spread the fire in a safe location. You can DPS the queen while she's going up and coming down from the air phase. Try to get into the middle as soon as the air phase AoE stuff ends so you can resume DPS as soon as possible. You can use human racial to get out of the fear effect that occurs prior to the air phase. Cloak of Shadows does not seem to negate this fear effect. You can banish the fear effect as well. I've not been successful with that yet, but other people have told me they've been able to do it. Getting the Vampirism debuff is super great. If you know you're going to get it soon, you should save your cooldowns and then use them once you have Vampirism, since Vampirism gives you double damage output, and that's double value on those cooldowns. Keeping up the Rupture, keeping up the Expose, keeping up the Slice. Okay. Waiting for this runestone to come up and we'll hit the killing spree. There it is. And we're going to save the Potion of Speed until we get a Vampirism buff. Doubles our damage output. It's very good.
Fear incoming.
Oh, I am in the fire. We're just gonna chill here and be sad and not run towards the middle. Now we can run to the middle.
Target you.
Just taste.
Build for a big rupture. Killing spree now?
Just taste.
It keeps switching which one I'm assigned to. It's gonna be soon.
2.
So I have to do it.
Frenzy. Target you.
There we go. We did it.
Fear incoming.
There's the fear.
Spread.
Here it comes.
Waiting for the runestone to proc. There we go. Killing spree. Gonna have to bite soon.
Frenzy. Target you.
Alright, this is the last phase. There's no more bites. We kill it, or we get killed. Pretty good. Pretty good, I would say.
So
What dropped? Protector, Conqueror, Vanquisher. Don't need any of that. And Bloodfall Polearm. Man, two-handed loot? Yikes. Alright, pass. Pass. If you've successfully defeated the bosses in Heroic mode up until here, you can move on to Heroic Lich King. And Heroic Lich King in 25-man mode is a whole other world of difficulty. This is something I imagine most guilds are not going to be doing until a month or more into the phase. It is a very seriously difficult encounter. That being said, let's talk about a couple of tips. On the Lich King, if you don't trust your healers to dispel you fast enough, you can move to the correct position when you get Necrotic Plague and then remove it yourself with Cloak of Shadows. Using Tricks of the Trade on tanks during the transition phases is very good to be able to start attacking the Raging Spirits as soon as they spawn. If you're having trouble killing the Valkyrs, you can have Rogue Weapon Swap to double Crippling Poison and use Fan of Knives to apply slow on all of them, or Assassination could take a point in the Deadly Brew talent, losing 1 from lethality, and attack them also to apply Crippling Poison through that talent. Normally, they should be killed with Paladin Stuns and other slows. I don't expect you to have to do this, but if your group is struggling, it may be something you want to do. When the Valkyr grab you and drop you off the platform, you can use Killing Spree to get back on the platform, similar to how Hunters can disengage and Warlocks can Demonic Circle summon. If your Killing Spree cooldown is available, you can mash the Killing Spree button as you're being carried away, and as soon as you're dropped, you Killing Spree, and the teleportation from the Killing Spree will keep you attached to that Valkyr who dropped you for a few seconds, while that Valkyr flies directly back to the Lich King. Now, I've not personally tested this, but this is another tip that I've received from a trusted source. There's a lot more to the Lich King, but even my guild that killed 11 bosses in Heroic mode just didn't have a lot of time to progress and learn a lot about the Lich King on the public test realm. So hopefully, once the raid is out, we'll be able to gain even more knowledge and tips about the Lich King. What you're seeing here is our best Heroic mode attempt. I hope this video has been helpful. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to look at any of the full VODs from me doing practice on the PTR, be sure to follow Simonize Show TV here on YouTube. That's linked in the video description and the pinned comment. That's my VODs channel where I upload raids from my live stream in a long form, unedited format. So everything's there for you to see if you want to. Also, all the tips and tricks in this video are in text form if you prefer to read rather than listen on my Discord, which is linked in the video description and pinned comment. So check that out too in the Wrath of the Lich King FAQ channel on the Discord. Thank you for watching. I hope you have fun in Icecrown Citadel. I hope this video has helped you a lot, and have a good day. Shambling Whore. I can't imagine how I would have pulled Threat. You think someone else pulled Threat? Was it one that, like, just spawned? I'll have to check the VOD.
4, 3, 2.
What we have to check now is Summon Skeleton 2.8 thousand damage. That's pretty big. That's the difference. That's the difference between a kill and a not kill, is 2.8 thousand damage from your Summon Skeleton. Hell yeah.